Okay, I'm gonna start it.
Hi, Doug.
Right, call this meeting of Central Florida's Club 9582 to order once again. Toastmasters, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Through this mission, each Toastmaster gains a clear understanding of the club's purpose and the organization as a whole benefits from a shared set of values. If you have a cell phone or electronic device, please silence it now. Don't have any guests this evening, so everybody knows where the restrooms are at. At this time, please welcome our thought and pledge leader, Jonathan Dunn.
Thank you, Richard. You're welcome. This quote, let's see who's coming in. We must have a guest. We'll wait for it. Hello, welcome, sir. Have a seat anywhere you like. As long as it's one of these front two tables.
Hi.
Tonight's thought comes from me, actually. I'm now quoting myself. But it pertains to life's decision-making process. It really simplifies it, makes it black and white. It ties into the dream for your life. So here it is. There is a dream for your life that we all share. And that is that you become the best version of yourself. Anything not in alignment with this goal is way too small for you. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please give a warm round of applause to our President, Mark Lockery.
At least he hasn't started referring to himself in the third person yet, so we're okay. As president of this club, I have the honor and privilege of being able to induct new members to this club. And tonight we have two individuals who will be going through this ceremony. They are Gus McKean and Kristen Williams.
Yay.
Ceremony works. I will first ask our Sergeant-at-Arms to take you two out of the room. Once you are outside, you will return to the room and we will have an official vote for the record. After the vote, if you are accepted, he will bring you back into the room to stand next to the lectern. If you're not accepted, he will leave you in the hallway. Then we will go through the oath reading, and after that, your mentors will present you with your membership pins. So with that, I ask our Sergeant-at-Arms to please escort our new members out of the room. Just a couple more quick announcements. The Articulators is having their humorous speech contest tomorrow morning, I believe.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody is helping them out with that. Charlie? Okay, good. And then the Winter Park is having theirs, I think, Friday the 26th, and ours is the 31st.
And
Toni has an announcement.
well, along in the same area, let's see. Apopka Foliage is having their contest at 7 p.m. August 29th. And we are definitely looking for judges and possibly some functionaries, maybe a test speaker. We just met last Monday night to coordinate.
August 29th, what day is that?
It's Monday.
Monday?
Monday, 7 p.m.
That's a Popka, Tony?
That's Apopka.
Let me know if they need a test speaker, because
Okay.
I would be interested in that.
Just down 436.
Right by Park Avenue, I think, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Park Avenue, it's at the museum.
Yep.
Is it at the Chamber of Commerce there?
Yeah.
I think that's where it
It's
is.
the museum of Apopka.
No,
It's a nice
it's
little
actually the
building.
building next to it.
It's in the
Unless it's
museum. It's in,
So maybe they moved it because they used to have a small chamber of commerce.
I'll let you know.
That'd be fun.
I am very excited about tonight's meeting. Well, Perdeep is back. Welcome back, Perdeep. Pretty soon, we're going to be having you up here to get your pin, hopefully. So, and we're glad you could make it tonight. Tonight is going to be an awesome meeting. I'm so happy to introduce our Toastmaster this evening. I've had the privilege of knowing this guy my entire life. And he is truly, without a doubt, one of the most unique and creative individuals that I have ever met. And Pedro can attest to that. So I'd like to introduce our Toastmaster this evening, Mark Lockery. Let's go over our agenda real quick. I don't think we have any changes. Everybody who was assigned roles is here to fulfill those roles. So I would like to go through our functionaries and get the introductions from them. So first, we'll hear from our grammarian, Kristen Williams.
As grammarian, I have two basic responsibilities. First, provide the word of the day to my fellow Toastmasters and guests in order to expand our vocabulary. I've chosen the word of the day, which is garrulous, an adjective, which definition is excessively talkative, especially on trivial matters. Synonyms: talkative, loquacious, verbose, and chatty.
Garrulous.
Garrulous.
Spell it, please.
Garrulous. If you have an opportunity to speak, please do your best to use the word. I will keep track of those who use the word of the day. Those who do not use the word will be fined 25 cents. Guests and new members who have not yet given their icebreaker speech will not be fined. I will also listen for colorful imagery and use of exceptional vocabulary and grammar. And that's it.
Thank you, Kristen. Next on the flight deck is our timer, Charlie Bondelier.
One of the skills Toastmasters practice is expressing a thought within a specific time. As timer, I am responsible for monitoring time for each speaker in each meeting segment. I will operate the timing signal indicating to each speaker how long he or she has been speaking. For our prepared speeches, to qualify for voting, speakers must speak not less than 30 seconds under the range minimum and not more than 30 seconds over the range maximum. I will turn the green light at range minimum, the yellow light at mid-range, and the red light at range maximum. For table topic speakers, to qualify, speakers must speak at least 1 minute and no more than 2 minutes 30 seconds. Green light 1 minute, yellow light 1.5 minutes, red light 2 minutes. And for evaluations to qualify, evaluators must speak a minimum of 1 minute 30 seconds and a maximum of 3 minutes 30 seconds. Green light at 2 minutes, yellow light at 2.5 minutes, and red light at 3 minutes. Mr. Toni.
Our pod counter this evening is Toni Gittles. Toni, if you could give us an intro on your duties tonight, please.
I am afraid I cannot change. I will be my garrulous self as I read the instructions for our counter. It's my responsibility to keep track of audible crutches such as double clutches, which is the repetition of a word when the speaker searches for the next thought. I'll also be noting the use of the word and as well as so, and I will sound the buzzer when any of these infractions are heard. The fine for an infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not yet done their icebreaker will not be buzzed or fined, but I will keep track of your infractions. Please note, the buzzer is meant to give you immediate feedback in an area that needs improvement. Also, you should get used to noises in a room, because when you go out and give a speech, it's not quiet, and your audience isn't the perfect Toastmaster audience. Especially if you ever get heckled, you will be grateful that you have learned to keep talking when there's a buzzer. Mr. Toastmaster.
Toni, can you get a sound check on the buzzer real quick? Thank you. Last week we were at half capacity, so I just wanted to make sure we're okay tonight. Our supervisor elections tonight is red shirt Gus McKean stepping into his first functionary role.
First of all, thank you for voting me and Kristen into the club. I appreciate that. Second of all, if anyone is keeping track of this USA versus Argentina basketball game, I'm recording it, so please don't tell me anything. All right, so as vote counter, I will pick up your ballots for best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I'll tally the results for award presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up any comments you may have written for the speakers or any meeting participant, and deliver the comments to the appropriate person. Thank you.
Yes, Toni.
Mr. Toastmaster, I noticed our secretary is absent, and I would be happy to take minutes if you would like. You're already doing it. Thank you very
But
much.
if you want to, you can.
Yeah, already started.
But thank you, Toni, for the offer. Maybe we'll just have it in double vision.
Double vision.
Okay. So I think we're all familiar with the UFO crashing, or supposed UFO crashing in Roswell, New Mexico, 1947. On day one, it was reported to the media and received widespread coverage. Flying disc found, flying saucer captured. But then something interesting happened. The military came in, took over the scene, removed every bit of evidence, and locked down the site. And then the very next day, these same papers changed their headlines. Basically, they were saying, oh, remember the flying saucer they found yesterday? Oops, our bad. It was just a weather balloon. And nobody spoke of it since then. So you can choose to believe the eyewitnesses who reported it initially, and the media who reported it initially, or you can choose to believe the government. It's not my role here tonight to try to prove the existence of aliens. Although I think it's hard to imagine that we are the only planet that has life on it. After all, the universe is a very large thing. We are 93 million miles from the sun, which is the center of our solar system. Our solar system is just one small part of the Milky Way galaxy. And NASA states that if we were to travel at the speed of light, it would take 100,000 years for us to cross the Milky Way galaxy. That's a pretty big thing. So tonight's question actually is, if there are aliens out there, when did they start visiting us? That's when I came across a book called Chariots of the Gods, written in the 60s by Eric von Daniken, and the series on TV called Ancient Aliens. Has anybody heard of either of the series or the book?
Yes.
Okay. Now there is way too much information here to go over in just one meeting, so I'm just going to touch on a few things that the series and the book pointed out. Bless you, Jaye.
Sorry.
The first place we're going to visit tonight is Easter Island, which is a small island in the southeastern Pacific Ocean. And on that island are these very large statues called moai. First, some facts. These were believed to have been carved sometime around 1250 to 1500 CE. There are almost 900 of these statues on the island, placed in various areas, high and low. Most look either identical or similar. The average height of each statue is somewhere around 13 feet. The average weight of each statue is about 13 tons. Now some questions which really have not been answered that I have found. First is, who exactly made these statues and why? And how did they get them to look so similar in features? And most importantly, how did they transport these statues, which were 13 tons, to their various locations, since there were so few trees and timber on the island? We have a few more places to travel tonight, but first, let's have a close encounter with some prepared speeches. As I spent the last 2 years here at Facilitators, I thought our next speaker might actually be an alien. simply because he is one odd dude. But as I got to know him and what he is all about, I realized he is simply a man on a mission. He is on a mission to become the best version of himself. A task he realizes will never happen unless he helps others realize and accomplish the dreams for their lives. Please help me welcome my friend Jonathan Dunn as he shares with us a story that will leave us all better off. Everything is connected.
I absolutely love Martin Luther King and his contribution to the world. I was reading some of his material recently and I came across a quote that I found absolutely astonishing. It's one I hadn't seen before. And what Martin Luther King Jr. said was that everybody that walks the face of the earth has an opportunity to be great. And he says the reason that everyone has the opportunity to be great is because everyone has the opportunity to serve. Everyone has that universal talent that the world places very little value on to serve. Anybody can do it. They don't need a specialized degree. They don't need a lot of money. They simply need to have the spirit to serve. And that made me start thinking about my friend, CJ Hopgood. He's a professional surfer. Several years ago, he was the #1 surfer in the entire world. And I've known CJ for years. It'd be just like talking to one of us. He's been on the cover of several magazines. He's adored by millions of people around the world. But about a month ago, his best friend in the world, who had 2 young daughters, died from a blood clot that had went to his lungs. And CJ very gladly would have turned in all the millions he's made just to have his friend back. And that guy was at his wife's house night and day serving her and his 2 children. And when he came back to the gym, I talked to him about it. We had some pretty deep conversations in there. And he said the way that made him feel inside was far better than any tournament that he had ever won. And that leads me to the story that I want to share with you tonight that illustrates what happens when you recognize that you don't need some sort of specific talent to change the world. I mean, does the world really need anybody right now who can throw a football 50 yards or run a 100-yard dash in 9.8 seconds? All very admirable things. But looking at the landscape of the world, is that what it really needs? Or does it need a group of people that can make a difference when they realize the most important talent one is the one that we all share? Early 1900s, Scottish Highlands. A British royal family was traveling through the Highlands. And the son of the royal family broke away from the group and got lost within a swamp. He hadn't really been too far from home at that point, and he started to panic, screaming at the top of his lungs. Fortunately for him, there was a farm nearby. That's pretty much what they did in Scotland back in those days. And the farm boy stopped what he was doing. He used that universal talent, and he ran towards the screams. And he found that the young boy had actually been drowning at that point. He had wandered into some water. And he took him home, dried him up, the family fed him food, and they made sure they got him reunited with his father. The father was so thankful. He wanted to do something for the farmer's family. He offered them money. I mean, he had riches beyond imagination. And the father of the young boy said, "I'm absolutely not going to take any money. This is what people should do for one another without expectation." But the British royal persisted. And at one point in this world, education wasn't available to everyone. Only the royal people were educated. The church has changed that. And the royal father knew that might be a way to pay him back, and he said, well, please, sir, at least let me educate your son. Turns out, the farm boy's father had always wanted his son to receive a formal education, and he accepted the offer. And the young man went through primary school, he went to university, and he ended up being a world-renowned scientist. He happened to be the scientist that discovered penicillin. How much did penicillin change the world? Now here's the part that's really going to blow your mind, though. Turns out Sir Alexander Fleming, the scientist who discovered penicillin, had the chance, because he used that universal talent that we all share, to save that young man a second time. The young man that he saved was Winston Churchill, Sir Winston Churchill. Imagine if he hadn't been saved. He was pretty much one of the main people that allowed Adolf Hitler to be defeated. How would the world look if he had never got lost in that swamp? And that leads to the title of the speech, that you need to recognize that you have a talent that's far more important than the talent to throw a football. And that everything in this world is connected. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jonathan. Charlie, may we have 1 minute on the clock, please? If everyone would write comments on their slip for Jonathan, I'm sure he would appreciate some honest feedback. Thank you, Charlie. Studying hypnosis and NLP is a passion of our next speaker. She loves studying how the mind works. Here to share some of that knowledge, please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Susan Moore.
Have you ever met someone with whom you had an instant rapport? As if you've known that person all your life. Conversely, have you ever known someone your whole life and never understood them at all? Why is that? If you can understand me, I will answer some of those questions. It's because different people have different representational systems or modalities in how they relate and communicate. There are 4 major and 2 secondary modalities. The first one is visual. The second one, auditory. The third one, kinesthetic. The fourth one, asensory. The fifth one, olfactory. And the last one, gustatory. So, a visual person memorizes things by seeing pictures. They are less distracted by noises. They often have trouble remembering verbal instructions, but do better with written instructions. And they're always interested in how things look. Some words that they might use when they're communicating with you would be see, look, appear, view, show, envision. These are words that a visual person would use in their sentences talking to you. And then there's auditory, whether you hear. And they're easily distracted by noise. They can repeat things back easily. They learn by listening, such as with lectures and things like that. They like music and they love talking on the phone. And the tone of their voice and word choices are very important to them. Words you would find with them would be hear, listen, sound or sounds like, harmonize, rings a bell, all ears. Those are things you would hear out of an auditory person. A kinesthetic person often talks very slow. They respond to physical rewards and touching. They memorize by doing or walking through something, as opposed to, say, listening to lectures as the visual person would do. And then we have the asensory, who doesn't have a defining sense. They spend time talking to themselves. They memorize steps by procedures and sequences. And they might exhibit characteristics of all the other representational systems or modalities. They would use words such as sense, experience, understand, process, motivate, perceive. And then we have a couple of the minor modalities. One is olfactory, which is your sense of smell. There are some people who have the modality of olfactory. They smell. Words that they use are smell, fragrant, whiff, anything that might have to do with the sound of, or the sense of smell. And then there's gustatory, which is taste. There are a few people who will use words such as spicy and swallow. Those are the only two I found for gustatory myself. So how do we know which modality somebody uses? There are 3 ways to find out. The first way is with word choices, and I've put on your desks in front of you a vocabulary sheet which goes through and gives you word choices of the different modalities. So please take a look at your word chart and you'll find that there are many words that these people will use, that these people, us people, all people, use in their modality. Number 2 is their speaking pace. A visual person will be very gregariously, something, isn't that the word? Garrulous. They would be very garrulous, speaking at a fast pace. An auditory person speaks at an average pace, and a kinesthetic person speaks very slowly. I happen to be kinesthetic, and I do speak very slowly, and that's pretty easy to figure out for me. There's also, wasn't able to make a chart for you, but there's an eye chart that you can notice with people that goes with the vocabulary sheet. When people are looking up, it's usually a person thinking visually. If they're looking side to side, they are thinking in terms of sounds or hearing. And down, looking down, they're thinking or feeling or having self-talk. At your seats, I also put a representation test. You can take this and find out just what your representation is, so you'll know how you relate, and then you can go out and relate to other people and listen to what they think and their words. And with knowing what their words are, you can figure out what their representational style is, and therefore you will be able to communicate with them in their communication style, making you feel like you're more in a rapport with each other. So listen to the words. Once you figure out which modality a person uses, use that modality when communicating with them, and pretty soon you will have them feeling as if they've known you all your life. And that's when the real fun begins. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Susan. Mr. Timer, if we could have 60 seconds on the clock, please. So we can write down some suggestions and some comments for Susan. Thank you. And if we could now have an official timers report for our two speakers tonight, Charlie.
Jonathan Dunn, required time was 5 to 7 minutes. He struggled for 6 minutes and 18 seconds. He qualifies. Susan Morgan, required time was 5 to 7 minutes. The actual time was 7 minutes and 56 seconds. Does not qualify.
As we only had one qualifying speaker tonight, there's no need to vote for best speaker, even though there's no winners. Now, not to seem too garrulous, I'm going to hop back on track here. And the next stop on our journey of mystery is a place in Bolivia called Pumapunku, believed to have been in existence somewhere around 700 AD. Who here has heard of Pumapunku? Wow. Pumapunku has many very unique stones and structures that are hard to explain. The stones, which are all very hard and tough in composition, have very fine cuts with perfect right angles, and many are identical exactly in size and shape. To me, these types of cuts would seem to be nearly impossible using nothing but hand tools. Also, they found stones that had holes that were drilled that were perfectly round. Also, some of the walls in the area they found had stones that fit perfectly together without any type of mortar. The stone in the middle of the picture on the right actually has 12 sides to it. Again, to me, this seems like something that would be impossible for a civilization that only had hand tools and no written language. So what are the questions that we have about Pumapunku? Well, first of all, what was the purpose of this site and all of the stones that were there? How were the stones cut so perfectly with no advanced machinery or tools? And how did they move the blocks, some weighing 10 to 12 tons, from the nearest rock quarry, which was over 10 miles away? Our next stop, of course, we wouldn't have an ancient aliens meeting without visiting Giza in the Great Pyramid, believed to have been built around 2560 BC. It was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. It was estimated by Egyptologists that it took 20 years to complete from start to finish. And there are approximately 2.3 million stone blocks that make up this pyramid. So, additional facts and questions about the Great Pyramid. First, if it only took 20 years to complete, given that there were 2.3 million stone blocks, they would have to move and set one stone block, or actually 12 stone blocks per hour, per day and night, for the entire 20 years. To me, that seems impossible. A couple other facts about the pyramid. The inside temperature is constant and equals the average temperature of the Earth, which is 20 degrees Celsius. And it remains that year-round. The mortar that was used, and this is reported on the internet, so it must be true. The mortar that was used is of unknown origin. The air shafts, and there was a couple of air shafts that were installed. The air shafts that were installed actually aligns perfectly with the stars in Orion's belt and the North Star back during that time period. And in the top picture, the center of the pyramid aligns exactly over the intersection of the longest line of latitude and the longest line of longitude on the globe, which is the center of all landmass in the world. Also, the three pyramids in Giza is exactly the same as the layout of the three great pyramids of Teotihuacan on the other side of the planet. Now, I wonder how that's possible given civilizations with no communication skills, how they manage to replicate each other so precise. Now it's time to journey into another mysterious area, table topics. Our table topics masters this evening once witnessed a real-life alien abduction. Now, don't worry, everything ended well, though Border Patrol released him back to his natural habitat. Please welcome Richard Seth.
Hope everybody is ready to get into some garrulous table topics. Before we begin with our guests, I think you've both been here before and participated. Are you open to participating this evening?
Yes.
Perdeep and Brenda. All right. Let's start us off here. Agree or disagree with the following sentence and explain your position. Aliens do exist. Agree or disagree and explain your position. Aliens do exist. Kristen.
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I will try not to be too careless with my response, but just enough to qualify. Agree or disagree, aliens do exist. That's a tough one, because I did watch this documentary, and I'm pretty sure it was about what, see, it's already escaped me.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. And it was about how the military tried to cover up the sightings of UFOs and everything, and how all of these reporters are being paid off or would randomly disappear. So it makes me think that they do have something to hide. And going back to what Mark said about how can we be the only civilization in the universe, that just seems a little far-fetched. So I would say yes, I do agree that there is another form of life. Do I feel like they're scary, like you've seen Independence Day or Out to Get Us? No. However, I do believe that there are other creatures out there that we don't know about. Mr. Tabletop.
What is your favorite alien-themed movie and why? Toni.
Stargate! You can travel anywhere in the universe with this ancient gate that was found in Giza. It's huge! And you dial up addresses and you get to different planets. The galaxies are huge and you never know what you're going to find. And the series can go on and on for years because they can keep making up a different journey. When you get to other planets, you will see good guys and bad guys. Always good guys and bad guys, Kristen. It's the rule of the planets. There are civilizations out there that actually mimic the civilizations that have been on Earth decades, hundreds of years ago. And in Stargate, the archaeologists got to study them. And he was so cute. His name was Michael Shanks, but in the movie he portrayed Daniel. And he was my heartthrob. I didn't know there was a TV series after the movie. One day, a guest in my house left the television on the Sci-Fi Channel. I never heard of the Sci-Fi Channel. I turned it on one morning, or afternoon, or evening, whatever. And Stargate SG-1 was a series. OMG, I was in heaven. Best series ever. Richard Dean Anderson, MacGyver for those of you that are my age, was the lead. And Michael Shanks, who was played by Michael Shanks played the TV series. James Spader, okay, we go back a while, was Daniel in the movie. Oh, both were so cute, blonde hair. They were perfect in the role. Do aliens exist? Yes! Watch the damn movie! It explains everything! Mr. Tabletop.
Not sure I could have called on a better participant for that answer. So, all right. Tell us what's really at Area 51. Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie, what's really at Area 51? That's all right.
Mr. Tabletop Nest. I think one of the things that are really in Area 51 is Hillary Clinton and associates. But seriously, Donald Trump is one of them, so don't feel bad. And the other thing is, I think there are ghosts that live in Area 51. Trust me when I tell you, because one time I had a friend of mine when I was in the Navy that was a pilot, and he got sent to Area 51, and I can't recall the reason, but he was a very smart guy. And when he did come back and we met again, about 2 years after he had been there, he told me that really strange things would occur in those warehouses that no one would be allowed to speak about. To this day, there are very, very few people that can speak about Area 51 that are actually go there. They have to take a special oath. Believe me when I tell you, he gave me goosebumps when he was telling me that, because I had never seen him how much he changed when he was relating to us about Area 51 and how bizarre he left there after a year. He said he never wants to go to that area again. Mr. Table Topic.
Right. There are countless variations of aliens depicted in movies, books, and TV shows. Describe your idea and what you think of when you think of an alien. Perdeep.
Thank you, Richard. When I said yes, I didn't realize the topic would be around aliens because I have a very limited insight into the topic besides what Mark shared with us. So
You can make
the only character or because I can think of is the one that's in E.T. and that's how I believe an alien would look like. No more knowledge.
All right. We have time for one more? We good? One more? Last one. Good. That's all I've got. You have an opportunity to make history and help colonize Mars and potentially be the first alien living on another planet. Do you do it? Why or why not? Brenda.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master. I have not yet mastered saying Mr. Table Master, so I have to say it very slowly. If I were to create a civilization on the planet Mars, first of all, I would make getting there a luxury trip. For those who wanted to fly with the all-seeing eyes, right, they can be injected with something where they would be wide awake and see all the galaxies and stars as they, fly right by the galaxies and stars. Then if you want to be a person like myself, who, put me to sleep and wake me up when I get there, then you can do that model. And for your eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die, we have the party flight as well. Or anything you can imagine is available, of course, for those so inclined. Now, once we get there, we would have a code of honor that would say that we must walk in love towards each other and anyone we came in contact with. It'd be like spraying glitter in a kindergarten class. You put it on one kid, touch one soul, before you know it, everything's lighted up with the glitter. So that's would be my mission, to please the people as they make the journey and cause the people that we receive to be so happy that they want to visit Earth. Thank you.
For the record, there is an injection that will do that for you. It's called acid. Please welcome back our president.
I didn't know acid was injected.
Swap or something.
Charlie, can we get a timer's report for our table topic speakers this evening?
Okay, Kristen, do aliens exist? 1 minute and 10 seconds, she qualifies. Toni, favorite alien movie, 2 minutes and 12 seconds, she qualifies. Charlie, what's really in Area 51, 1 minute and 50 seconds, he qualified. Perdeep, 30 seconds, he did not qualify. Guys, what do aliens, I can read my own writing, but anyways, he did 1 minute and 29 seconds and he qualifies. And Brenda created civilization in the planet, 1 minute and 33 seconds, she qualifies.
Okay, please vote for best table topic speaker. Perdeep, can you stand up for a second? I'm glad Perdeep actually dressed in the theme tonight. He actually is wearing this Puma Punka shirt. Thank you, Perdeep, for that. I just have a few more things that I would like to share with you. things that maybe you never saw before but have been around. Here is a painting dating back to the year 1710 that was done by a Flemish artist, Art de Gelder. It is a depiction of Jesus getting baptized by John the Baptist. But in the picture, towards the top, is a round shape, and out of that shape comes 4 beams of light shining down onto Jesus and John the Baptist. So I just wonder what influenced the artist to include something like that in his painting. The next painting is from the year 1430, and it is titled The Annunciation. In the picture is the Virgin Mary, who is receiving a ray of light on her head. In the ray of light is a dove. I don't know if you can really see it, there's a little dove right there. But the interesting thing about it is the ray of light seems to be coming from a circular cloud up in the sky. Now, ancient astronaut theorists will always tell you that these pictures represent aliens, and that throughout our history, what was referred to as celestial beings were in fact aliens all along. That is their modus of operandi. I find this next one interesting. It is from a cathedral in Spain dating from between 1500 to 1700. On one of the walls is this carving, which looks exactly like an astronaut, complete with helmet, gloves, and boots, which even look similar to what we see on our astronauts today. And this was over 300 years old. This next figure was found in the Mayan ruins in Tikal, Guatemala. It also seems to resemble an astronaut wearing a space helmet and breathing through an apparatus. Now, I'm not saying all these things prove without a doubt that aliens exist and that they have been visiting us for centuries. It does make many people like myself wonder, though, how ancient civilizations could have known so much about the stars, some being almost invisible to the naked eye, when telescopes weren't invented until the 1600s. Also, why do so many ancient statues and drawings resemble astronauts so much? And how could civilizations on different parts of the globe, without no method of communication, build such similar structures with similar purpose? Does it make you wonder too, even just a little? Have we been visited before? The truth will eventually be uncovered. And now it's time to uncover our evaluations. Our general evaluator this evening is Jessica Guthrie. She currently serves as the Division D Director for Toastmasters District 84. In her professional life, she is the president of One Compass Consulting. One Compass Consulting guides businesses and individuals to discover the right direction through facilitating strategic planning sessions, improving processes, helping organizations manage change, and developing leadership skills. Please help me welcome our general evaluator this evening, DTM Jessica Guthrie.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmasters. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. It is my honor tonight to serve as your general evaluator, one of my favorite roles, because I think a great part of Toastmasters is learning, and you really do learn when you get feedback on how you performed in your speeches as well as in the meeting as a whole. So that's my job tonight, is to help guide the evaluation part of tonight's discussion. And we're going to do that by having a couple folks evaluate the speeches that we've heard tonight, as well as we have a technical team who are going to help us evaluate the whole meeting, our timers, our op counters, our grammarians, etc. So we're looking forward to that. So let's go ahead and get started with the speech evaluations. Our first evaluator has been a Toastmaster since 2004. It may seem ancient, however, the meetings always remain fresh and exciting. Evaluating Jonathan Dunn is no alien. She is now a legal alien coming all the way from ancient England. Evaluating the speech of Jonathan Dunn, please welcome Sarah Hunt.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, our guests, and Jonathan. Get to the point. This speech has to have a purpose, and it's about service. Light loved the way the speech opens with a quote. the Martin Luther King, everybody walks the face of earth has to be great. The stories that you presented were very inspirational. And I know the manual looked at, is this a persuasive speech, entertainment? I thought it intended to be inspirational, as you see the connection of how one person helps another, and this greatness, people turn out to be prime ministers, and you've got the story about the professional surfer, and the Scotland story, the scientist, all that. So I think those are easy to understand. They're also entertaining, and you can follow along very easy. One area that I thought you could accentuate a bit more would be your gestures. And a lot of the stories, everything came from about waist high. So sometimes the arms went up, there were different motions, but everything stayed very level to like hip waist. So you could, if it's I'm just picking on the example of a swamp, it's slow down. Or if you're talking about Scotland, they've got beautiful hills that just roll and they're far, far away. You could do some that are maybe higher than the waist. You don't want to do crazy, so you're all over the place, because you've got a very good stature where you don't move around all over the place, so it's strong and you're poised. But I felt a couple times you would do this, and it looked a bit limp and just could have been very strong. And there were just some points that I think that would have been very helpful. I love the volume. You've got a loud voice, louder than mine and some others. It comes natural, so I thought that was a strength. And there were some purposeful moments where that came across, where you really had to get some points. So I thought that was very good. And overall, the only other recommendation, I thought the inspirational piece, good stories. You talked about not relating it to talent or greatness in sports. I thought for me to be inspired, I'd want to maybe hear a story about someone that didn't get to be famous, a regular person that served, that helped. That way I can see, maybe I can contribute. I don't feel like I'm going to offer something to someone that might become a scientist or a prime minister or a professional surfer. So that's just something you might want to consider. But other than that, everything connected for me, and I hope this evaluation served you. Madam General Evaluator.
The only challenge of being Toastmaster and General Evaluator is that you get so sucked into what you're listening to, and then you realize, oh wait, I'm supposed to be up there to do the next piece. So thanks, Sarah, for the heads up on the General Evaluator. Our next evaluator has been away from the group for a while, for 2 weeks actually, and she says she feels like an alien. It has been a tough few weeks with the passing of a friend and the passing of her beloved kitty cats. Glad to be back tonight. Please welcome Jaye Majors to the lectern to evaluate the speech of Susan Morgan.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. It's great to see everyone here, and especially for Susan. I'm so happy to see you tonight. Your speech tonight was speaking to inform. The purpose of the talk is for the speaker to present an informative speech in 5 to 7 minutes. You need to present in an interesting manner with clear organization and support your facts and points with statistics, quotes, or expert opinion, information, etc. I really enjoyed how you opened your speech up with the questions that you put to us, with the 2 scenarios of meeting someone for the first time and feeling like you've known them forever. Why is that? And then knowing somebody forever, and we all have people in our lives like that, that you still just can't get. In my situation, I have a sister like that. So you really hit me right on with your opening and piqued my interest in what you were going to present to us. Your speech was very organized, it was straightforward. As soon as you got through your intro, you listed out the different words, the different styles that you wanted to relate to us. And then you went into descriptions of those styles and explaining the styles to us, which I thought was very good. I could immediately pick out which one I believe I am by the words that you used in describing things, so that was very good. The speech was very interesting to me because of all of those definitions that you gave. I can start seeing in other people and people that I do business with who they are and what keeps them off. That's why this is an important topic. You seemed comfortable with your material and familiar with your material. It's a topic that's of great interest to you. You could have practiced it a little more because you were reading an awful lot and you had your eyes down. I wanted to see you speak directly. When you went to some of the different styles, maybe speak directly to someone in the room so that it brought it down, brought it more to people. And I would have made that a point. I wanted to know what the initial NLP means, and some of the material that you provided didn't have any references to where they were from. You were confident in your manner, but yet a bit tentative. So I wanted to see that a little bit more positive. Your assets were supported by your handouts, and they were very interesting. It encouraged us to want to learn and to explore ourselves. Overall, excellent, fabulous speech, Susan.
Thank you, Jaye. And with that, may I ask our timer for a timer's report for our evaluators, please?
Sarah Hunt's actual time was 3 minutes on the dot. And Jake Majors, 3 minutes and 23 seconds. They both qualified.
All right, thank you. If everyone would please take a moment and vote for Best Evaluator. And fortunately, our evaluators are not too garrulous and we're able to get it under their times. Just. While we're taking the vote and as we collect any comments, etc., let's go ahead and get a report from our tag team. If we can have an update from our all counter, Toni Gittles, can you give us an update, please?
Yes, there was one Susan, 4 double clutches, 6 ands, 1 so, for a total of 11. Susan, an idea for when you use and. There was one sentence you said, and then you can go out. So instead of the and, you can then go out. Just rephrase words without the and.
Without the end, yeah.
Kristen, 1 double clutch, 1 and, for a total of 2. Charlie, 1 and, total of 1. Jaye, 2 ums, 1 double clutch, 2 so's, for a total of 5. The rest of you, congratulations.
Thank you, Madam On-Counter. Now may we please have a report from our grammarian, Kristen Williams.
So Toni, Susan, Mark, Richard, Jessica, and myself all use the word day. Yeah. Phrases that stuck out, they might be colorful, but well, at least to me they were. Jonathan, riches behind imagination. Susan, your use of gustatory and olfactory, words I did not know prior to your speech, so thank you for that enlightenment. Toni, watch the damn movie, it explains everything. Charlie, there are ghosts that live at Area 51. Guys, we think the way we think because we have technology. I thought that was interesting. Brenda, spreading glitter. across the kindergarten classroom. I got that visual. And Richard, for the record, there's an infection that can do that. It's called passing. That's my grammarian.
Most improved.
Yes, if everyone has a moment now that we've heard from all our functionaries as well, if you'd like to please vote for most improved, so we can have that vote counted prior to the conclusion of the meeting. And now it's my honor to give an overview, a report on the evaluation of the meeting as a whole. I thought it was great. Our Sergeant at Arms did a great job of getting us started, gave us a 2-minute warning, and then also started us on time, but then broke for a recess right away. So that's a great way to do that if we have people running late and we know we have time within the agenda. So I thought that was very well done. The induction ceremony itself, well handled, very well done. I want to congratulate Mark on doing that very well. The agenda was right on. Everybody was here. That's fantastic. I love when we don't have agenda changes, so that's also something we did very well. As Toastmaster, very interesting thing, well explained. You had the slides that actually went along with the entire meeting all the way through evaluations, so that was also well done. An interesting word of the day. We all learned, I think, pretty much a new word, but usable, so that's kind of where we want to be in expanding our vocabulary. Our Table Topics Master, you asked our guests to be included, and I thought that was well done, and it was actually perfect. You had the right level of questions, you asked them, asked people. It really just a perfect job as Table Topics Master, so I commend you on that. And our evaluators, also well done. There was a good balance of strengths, things to improve on. Both of you did very well in the evaluation arena, so congratulations on that. A few ideas for things maybe we might try differently. One is around the functionary intros. If you're familiar with the role, and Toni gave a good explanation of this, we have them written, the introductions for the functionaries. You don't have to read them exactly if you've done it 3 million times, but you want to make sure you do hit those highlights. But for Toni, for example, she talked about why it was important that she explained why the noise is a good thing to get used to, with the distraction. And of course, that wasn't written on the piece of paper, but it was a good explanation. So things like that you can consider as you're doing the functionary intros. The Toastmaster, there was a lot of information here. I would suggest you do some of that as a speech and break that out. It really was a lot of information. And luckily, we had enough time in this meeting today to be able to go through all of that. But typically, as a Toastmaster, you're going to want to keep to the agenda as quickly as possible. So, but again, we had time for it today. I really like the information, so consider that for a speech. I also thought there were a lot of grammar errors I was hearing tonight. It seemed really across the board. We had a lot of challenges with adverbs tonight. I heard something happened slow instead of slowly. Something was done precise instead of precisely. I heard something came natural instead of came naturally. So watch out for your LYs on the adverbs and make sure you have those matched up pretty well. And there were quite a few gunnas across the room, and I know I'm guilty of that too. So make sure you're pronouncing out the whole word, not the world, the word. Speaking of grammarian. And one other idea I just wanted to mention is in the op counters report, there is, you get dinged for using and or so, and it's really, the intention is to avoid run-on sentences. So you're not saying you did this, and you did this, and you did this, and so you did this. It's not necessarily you can't use the word so, you certainly can as a transition word. You can certainly use the word and, it's a natural part of speech, but it's really about the transitions. So we might want to look at rewording that introduction and how we capture that information, because that's really the purpose of it, is to avoid the run-ons. I know that was a really long general evaluator report, but I had a lot to cover, so, but I thought that overall the meeting was really great, and these are just ideas that we can look at. So with that, I would like to turn it back to our president, Mark Lawfrey.
Thank you, Jessica. Just for legal reasons, we're not condoning drug use. Richard was just pointing that out, so on the record. And then Charlie, I really thought I could come up with a meeting theme that would avoid political. And I thought I had it with ancient aliens, but proved me wrong again. We'll go over next week's agenda real quick while we're waiting for the supervisor of elections to finish the count. Next week's Toastmaster is Charlie Bombalier. Do you have a theme yet?
No.
Okay. We've got 2 speakers, myself and Jaye Majors. However, if anyone else wants to speak and replace me, that would be fine. Toni, we'll put you down as speaker number 3 for now.
I want to speak.
Okay. Table Topics Master is Sarah Hunt. Richard will be reliving his role as Sergeant at Arms.
I will actually
And,
not be here next week.
oh,